All of us are glued to the horrific images from Israel where the Hamas terrorists slaughtered entire families. And it won't end there because they also took hostages. The Israelis have now gone into the Gaza Strip to destroy Hamas. 2 million people are trapped there in the world's biggest open-air prison. And although most of our focus has been on that conflict, it's not the only cauldron of hatred and killing in this world. There are times in history when things that seem separate suddenly come together to make an infinitely bigger problem. That's what happened in 1914. That summer, a Serbian nationalist shot and killed an Archduke of the Habsburg dynasty who was visiting the Balkans. And somehow, within only 4 weeks, all the great powers of Europe were at war with one another. It became the Great War, World War I. How could Israel's war with Hamas turn into a global inferno? And why is the United States the only country in the world that can stop them? I'll get to those questions, but first remember some of the other conflicts in the world, which all seem separate, of course, but they also did in 1914. There's Ukraine, where Vladimir Putin and the Russians keep trying to erase an entire nation, bombing and torturing civilians and abducting children. Some of us almost missed another act of ethnic cleansing the other day in the Caucasus, where Azerbaijan starved, then bombed, then drove out the Armenians from one enclave. There's still fighting in Syria, all over the Sahel region of Africa, in various places in Asia and beyond. And here in Washington, a lot of people worry about what could be the biggest war if China attacks Taiwan and draws in the other powers in the region. One problem is that the players are the same in several of them. For example, Iran. It supports Hamas with money and weapons, and also Hezbollah, and it hates Israel and America. Iran also supplies Putin with drones the Russians are using to bomb Ukrainian cities and civilians. China is also an ally of Putin and a sort of partner of Iran and of anybody else Beijing thinks is anti-America and anti-West. Both Russia and China are partners with North Korea, which is now sending ammo to Russia. And remember, all of the countries just mentioned have nuclear weapons, or in the case of Iran, are really close to making them. In a worst-case scenario, Israel and its ally, the US, could get drawn into a war with Iran. Or the US and NATO could get drawn into a war against Russia, or against North Korea, or against China. And before we know it, we'd have World War III between all of the above. But it doesn't have to happen. And this is where the US comes in.
To any country, any organization, anyone thinking of taking advantage of this situation, I have one word: don't.
It used to be one of two superpowers. Then it was briefly the world's policeman, making sure that there were no major wars, that countries traded with each other, and that money flowed wherever it needed to go. To use a technical term, America was the hegemon. That means leader in Greek. So America's job was to maintain order. But in recent years, US preeminence has declined as China has risen and other powers like Turkey and India and Indonesia, also challenging world order they see as Western. But America is still the most powerful country in the world. So if anybody can prevent today's conflicts from getting even worse, it's Washington. That's why you're now seeing Joe Biden and his Secretary of State and entire cabinet talking to everybody. Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, Europe, Japan. The US has to rally the world to keep resisting Russia and Ukraine, to punish Hamas, but also protect civilians in Gaza, to keep Iran and North Korea in check, and to deter China from becoming more aggressive. No other country can do it. So no matter how you feel about Biden or America, you should be rooting for America to keep the peace.